Hello, and welcome to the Crime Reporter. Today we're diving into a story of raw violence, staggering greed, and a shocking attempt at redemption. We're talking about Ian Maloney, better known by his brutal nickname, Mad Dog. His defense counsel would later argue that his descent was fueled by trauma, specifically the death of his brother after his release from Garda custody, an event Maloney bitterly blamed on the authorities. This provided a twisted justification for starting a life fueled by heavy drinking, drug use, and violent crime. By his early 20s, Maloney had racked up a lengthy criminal record, 73 previous convictions according to a court hearing. He was a foot soldier, a heavy connected to powerful figures like the notorious Fat Freddie Thompson's mob. He was a cog in the machine, but a particularly volatile one. His early crimes set the foundation for the Mad Dog moniker. He was a force of pure aggression. But one crime in particular established him as a major player and secured him a lengthy sentence: the €1.2 million armed jewelry robbery. The crime took place in September 2008 at Paul Sheeran Jewelers in the upscale Dundrum Town Centre. This wasn't a smash and grab, it was a brazen, planned armed robbery. Maloney, only 21 at the time, and an accomplice walked into the store, dressed deceptively as builders. But their tools weren't hammers and nails. They were a crowbar and a firearm. Maloney was the one brandishing the weapon, a terrifying, sawn-off, rusty 12-gauge shotgun. He pointed it directly at staff, forcing customers and employees to stand against a wall, while his accomplice used the crowbar to smash open display cabinets. They stuffed a black bin bag with jewelry valued at over €1.2 million. Despite their brief escape, Maloney was later identified by multiple witnesses and ultimately pleaded guilty in July 2011, receiving a 12-year prison sentence. This robbery cemented his status as a serious armed criminal. But the story of the Mad Dog wouldn't end there. In fact, his next shocking act took place just a few months after the heist. The most visceral example of Maloney's brutality occurred on January 4, 2009, just 4 months after the Dundrum robbery. His victim was Joey O'Brien, a former drug dealer from Crumlin who had become a police informant, or supergrass, in a high-profile murder trial. O'Brien's key testimony had secured the conviction of gangland killer Peter Kenny. In the eyes of the underworld, O'Brien was a rat. The attack didn't happen in a dark alley. It took place in broad daylight inside Charlie's restaurant on Dame Street. Maloney and an accomplice cornered O'Brien. As O'Brien lay semi-conscious on the floor, the Mad Dog lived up to his nickname. He repeatedly kicked O'Brien in the head. Witnesses later claimed Maloney was shouting that he hated him and was delighted to get a chance to batter him, even reportedly dancing on his head. The results were devastating. O'Brien woke up in a hospital with a broken jaw, smashed teeth, and a broken eye socket. When Maloney came before Dublin Circuit Court for this sickening assault, a judge made a controversial decision. Despite the severity of the attack, the judge chose not to extend Maloney's existing prison term, sentencing him to 4 years to run concurrently. The rationale? The judge cited some hope he will reform, mentioning Maloney's full apology, being drug-free, and the recent birth of his son as factors. This judgment gave Maloney the smallest window of opportunity for change. And this is where the story takes its truly bizarre turn. The man who earned his reputation through savagery inside and outside prison walls began what his supporters called his road to Damascus. While incarcerated, Ian Maloney began to write. He turned from gangster to published poet. The themes in his poetry were a stark reflection of his life: remorse, guilt, the haunting memories of his violence, and a desperate plea for a new start. He spoke publicly about being haunted by the gun attack guilt, trying to make amends with the victims, and leaving the life of crime behind. His attempts at redemption extended beyond the page. He also reportedly became involved in charity fundraising, trying to use his notorious name to do some good. His transformation, however, is met with understandable skepticism. For many victims and law enforcement officials, the moniker Mad Dog is simply too ingrained, the violence too real. Is this genuine remorse and a profound desire to change, or is it a clever public relations exercise designed to secure an easier path upon release? The court, at least in the case of the assault, showed a willingness to believe in his potential for reform by not extending his sentence. But his most recent conviction for the gun attack, which saw him jailed for another 10 years, shows a pattern of violence that is incredibly difficult to break. Ian Mad Dog Maloney is now facing a substantial final stretch in jail. He has admitted his guilt, confessed to his crimes, and apologized. He carries the heavy weight of the Mad Dog reputation, but he is now also a published artist. His story forces us to confront a difficult question. Can a person truly reinvent themselves after a lifetime of extreme violence? Is the act of a man turning from a shotgun to a pen a profound act of penance, or is it simply a new chapter in a long life of complex criminality? Only time and the actions of Ian Maloney upon his eventual release will provide the answer. What are your thoughts? Can a gangster like Mad Dog truly find redemption? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Crime Reporter for more deep dives into the world's most complex criminal figures.